Bangkok Patana School. All right. Bangkok Patana is Thailand's first and largest British international school for students from 2 to 18 years. This not-for-profit school has remained at the forefront of education in Thailand for over 60 years and is today one of the most respected educational establishments in Southeast Asia. They provide learning from the foundation stage right through to senior studies for over 2,200 students from around 65 countries. The school follows the English national curriculum up to year 11 and the International Baccalaureate in years 12 and 13. Bangkok Patana School is committed to ensuring that you, as a parent, have the confidence that your children are receiving the best intellectual, physical, and social preparation for their futures. Now, to get us started today, I'm very, very excited to welcome Miss Sarah McCormick to the screen here. Shazam, and we have it. We've both arrived in the same screen at the same time. How are you today, Sarah?
I'm very well, Stephen. Lovely to see you this morning. And we are very much honored to be your first guests at today's virtual summit.
100%. So I know that we're going to watch a video about your school here in a few seconds, but give us, the 15, 20 seconds of what does it mean to be at Patana? What does it mean to be of this school?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I mean, you gave a really good introduction in terms of what our school represents. We are the oldest and biggest British international school in Thailand. But I think if you were to ask me one word that sums up our school, that is community. So even though we are big, we are a big school. We have nearly 2,300 students on roll. We pride ourselves on belonging. We pride ourselves on a sense of community and knowing everybody in our care. And that's not just our students, that's our parents and also our staff.
Fantastic. Talk to me about how you make that community real. So 2,300 students, how does one feel like I am both a part of that larger institution, but then having my own experience at the same time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it comes in many different levels. I'm actually fairly new at the school, so this is only my second academic year at Patna. I came from Ireland, where I was leading a school there. And one thing that was very interesting for me is I'm not only a teacher, I'm also a parent in the school. But my first experience of Patna was actually remote. So before I came on board with the school, I'd never been to Patna. I'd been to Thailand historically, but I'd never actually been on the school campuses. And I think what the school is very good at is understanding every student's needs. So from the minute you are welcomed by our admissions team, you really get a sense that people care for your story, they care for your family. And that's carried through it in everything we do. So obviously in terms of induction, in terms of the parent support, parent workshop, parent seminars, that's one way that we support our families. But it's the little things as well. It's the everyday introductions and hellos at the school gate. We have an open door policy, so parents are able to come into the classroom, into the school buildings, and parents are even able to come and have lunch with their student every single day. And that's one thing I've never seen in any school before. And it's really that sense that parents are partners and that we mean it and that everything we do is there to support the child.
Give me, I hope this isn't a curveball, but how many parents come to have lunch with their kids? I'm really interested in that.
You'd be surprised.
I know most of us are working parents. Most of you have full lives. I'm like, how many people can actually stop off over at Patana and be like, hey, I'm going to have lunch with are there like regulars that come, or is it?
There are, and I think there's always so much happening in the school day. So today, for example, we've got a sporting activity happening for our younger Key Stage 1 students. There's also a music workshop happening for our parents. So you can quite easily find that you've spent a whole morning in the school, and then it's easy just to pop to the canteen and join your child for lunch. May pop off and do a couple of errands and come back for school pickup. So you'd be surprised.
That sounds fantastic. I know every time I'm able to go and, present for, one of my children's, like in their class to do something, or their eyes just light up and they really, we talk about it
Absolutely.
for a day. And so it's
Yeah.
always great
Yeah.
being able to come in and feel like you can participate. Cause I know that's a little more difficult at some of the more like the off campus schools and those kinds of things where parents can't come every day. That's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of our biggest questions really is, what does my child do in the school day,
Mm.
and it's very hard for us to describe all of the interactions and how important every moment is for a child, from their classroom learning to the playground activities. But by having parents on site, they can see all of those interactions. For example, last Friday, I ran a assembly, which is a normal part of school life. But in the post-pandemic world, we've looked for opportunities to invite our parents in. So parents can now come and join our assemblies. And that's a really special time for parents to come in and see the messages that we're giving the children. They're normally around our school values, but it allows for that mimicking, that mirroring of the messages that we're giving in school can also be shared at home as well.
Talk to me. I'm going to change the course of our conversation here just a little bit. Talk to me about academic rigor. So, it's one thing to belong at a school. It's one thing to be a part of it. How do you, put your curriculum on the table for parents? How do you, let them know that their children are being assessed in a way that's both, rigorous, but also humane? And, what are parents' expectations around that from you?
And I think in primary settings, that's always a really interesting question. And, we do advocate fun and engagement for our students and motivation and a love of learning. And sometimes that is in contrast with perhaps more of the not humane, to use your terminology, assessment practices. So really it's getting the balance right. We want our students to love coming to school. That's absolutely number one, because we know that when students love coming to school and they're happy in their environments, they're going to learn. So that will always be a priority for me and for my team in a primary setting. But how do we then balance that with the expectations around rigor and a robust curriculum? And it is possible. And I think over the years, primary education is moved away from a lot of summative testing. So that's not something that we have at Patna. What we would have is formative assessment, and that's where we're watching students' interactions with one another, their environment and the curriculum on a daily basis. So all of our teachers are very familiar with the curriculum expectations, with the milestones. Sarah will talk a little bit more about that in terms of foundation stage, but all of our teachers are experts in that, and we are constantly monitoring students' progress and attainment and then adapting the curriculum. And then we keep parents informed with 2 parent meetings a year, 2 reports, and 1 opportunity to come in for a 3-way conference where their student is also part of a learning conversation. So really, we do emphasize, as I say, engagement, enjoyment in learning, but we hope that our parents feel that their children are making more than ample progress annually, which they are.
Fantastic. What's, as you just said, you have multiple times a year to interact with parents and get that feedback or have that Q&A kind of opportunity with them. Give me an example of what are the most common questions that you hear from a parent about either progress or what's my child doing or those kinds of things.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a mum as well. I've got 2 sons. I've got one who's 17 and I've got one who's 13. So, I understand that the parent journey as much as I do as an educator. I think most parents only want to know 2 things, and that is that their child is happy and that they've found their place with their community and their peer group. And I think most parents just want to know that their child is where they need to be at that point of their academic journey. So they're really the most common questions we get from parents. Is my child happy? And that's obviously crucial. And is my child where they need to be? And if their child's not where they need to be, what supports are we putting in place to make sure that they are scaffolded to access the curriculum, or it might be the other end, that their child is very able, and what are we doing to push their student on with their learning. But in primary education, learning's not linear, and this is one thing we talk to our parents a lot. Children go like this with learning, and that's very normal. That it's not an upward trajectory through to IB or university, and we know as ourselves as human beings that sometimes you take a dip with learning and other things become more of a priority. So we're looking for that journey. When the children come to us at Patana, our youngest students now are about 18 months who come to Tiny Tigers. That's our pre school program. Yeah. But we're looking from 18 months through to 18 years. That's a long time, and we want to support children every step of that way.
Fantastic. I want to just call out that Rosalind, who works with us, she just put in the chat here with everyone that if you did put a question in the chat that doesn't get answered, we will be passing these questions directly onto the school to get back to you as well. But there's a couple questions from our community. One is, does Patana have scholarships available?
In terms of reduced fee scholarships?
I guess so. So this is from Scarlett Graham, and she's just asking if the scholarships are available, and if so, how could students apply? I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Right. We don't, as far as I'm aware, offer academic scholarships, I'm afraid. But I would say we do have places available, so if parents are interested in coming to our school, to absolutely reach out either to myself if it's a primary age student or to our admissions team. Okay,
excellent. And then there's another question from a person who I apologize. I am unable to read their name because it's not in the script that I am used to reading. And Scarlett says, thanks you. She will book a visit. But she says she is Thai, but her husband is British. And she says, do I still have to go on the waiting list?
Yes, is the short answer, I'm afraid. Patana's increasingly and as always a very popular school to come to. We're delighted for our reputation in the community and also within Asia as well. We do have dual national families, of course, coming to us. And again, please be in touch with either myself or our admissions team to get more information on that.
Fantastic. Sarah, it's amazing how quickly 10 minutes goes by.
Yes.
It's just like that. We've reached our time here, but I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your morning to speak with us. And we're going to move on here to a little movie about Patana. And then we'll be having the next Sarah come on to talk a little bit about unlocking belonging. So thank you so much and have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Bangkok Patana School, Thailand's original British international school. We are a large, friendly and truly international community with over 16 nationalities. Bangkok Patana offers students a unique breadth of opportunity both within and outside the classroom to ensure that each and every one of our learners reaches their full potential. Our primary students from nursery to year 6 follow a progressive British-based curriculum which is adapted to engage, challenge and excite them, whether they are learning atomic theory or exploring in our outdoor classroom. In secondary, students follow the British curriculum until year 11 when they take IGCSE exams and then move on to study the IB diploma programme. Students are supported by a strong pastoral system and a team of dedicated and inspiring teachers. A highlight for many of our students is our expansive extracurricular programme, with 500 activities running each week after school. These provide critical opportunities for students to follow their passions, establish friendships and learn new skills. Our school values of well-being, learning and global citizenship are at the heart of all we do. Our 50-acre campus is located in southeast Bangkok and is easily accessible by BTS or our school shuttle service. As our school buses are usually moving against the traffic, The journey to school from popular residential locations such as Asop and Krompong take only around half an hour. We have a wonderful community here at Bangkok Patana. Do contact us if you would like to find out more.
Fantastic. That was a wonderful presentation by Patana. And now we have a special presentation, Ralph, and I apologize in advance that I'm going to butcher your family name. We talked about this before, and now it's completely lost my mind. Mrs. Sarah Gaughan, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I got so close. I know that was only a mere, close call to what it should be, but you're going to be talking to us about unlocking belonging in the early years. Right. Is there anything you want to tee up before I put your slides on the screen?
I just wanted to say thank you for being here with us, and I'm very happy to be sharing some of our research with you this morning.
Excellent. And I want to remind everybody else while I bring the slides on the screen, everybody who's in the room right now, we do see your comments. So if you're in Facebook, if you're in YouTube, use that chat space, on the YouTube on the right-hand side there, Facebook below. You can throw questions at any time. Sarah will be happy to answer, or we can, forward those on a little later as well. So with that, I am going to get us going. You are ready to go.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Sarah Gaughan. I am the leader of learning in the early years department at Bangkok Patana School. And I'm here this morning to share with you a little bit about how we use current research to continuously improve our practice at Bangkok Patana School. So this is particularly if you're interested in our early years department. So without further ado, I'll share this with you. So within the last 2 years, I have completed my master's with the University College London, and my topic of interest was unlocking belonging in the early years. As Sarah McCormack explained, belonging is a huge aspect of children's lives, and before children can really learn, we need them to feel safe and secure in our setting. So what is belonging in the early years? So when we're talking about early years, we're talking about children between the ages of 2 to 5 or 6 years old and beyond. But it's all about children experiencing a experiencing positive relationships. Children and families who feel that they belong to their school, their setting, and have a sense that they are cared about and that they are known well within the setting. They feel comfortable to be themselves. They feel valued and understood. So I wanted to share with you the findings from the research that we did. I've got 10 minutes and we did this over 2 years, so I'll do my very best to keep it concise for you. But as you can see from the illustration here, relationships were the biggest, most important factor in a child having a solid sense of belonging, along with interactions that they have with adults and other children, and the pedagogy that we use. Pedagogy is related to the teaching styles, the learning philosophy, the way that children learn at our school, and also homeschool partnerships. You can see there that there's some COVID-related factors there, but we're not going to discuss those today because thankfully we're not in those COVID times so much anymore. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to share with you our findings. So from our research, we found that a huge 96% of our children and families in our early years setting felt a very positive sense of belonging to our setting, and we were really thrilled by this. But of course, we always want to make sure that every single family is feeling a very positive sense of belonging. So we wanted to find out more and to learn more about what we can do to foster a strong sense of belonging to our school. The second finding that we found was that our parents perceived that the relationships that their children were building at school were a hugely important factor in their child's sense of belonging. And here are some parent quotes just talking about having an important adult is the most important thing. It's their bedrock, it's their pillar, it's their relationship with adults. So we got lots of really quality feedback from parents during quality interviews and surveys that we did. The second finding was that interaction between staff and children has a hugely significant impact on the child's sense of belonging to the setting. As Sarah said, we need to know our children very well. Parents talked about having quality conversations and that staff were present for their children, constantly having conversations and being genuinely interested in their world as an individual. The third finding from our research was that our approach to learning within the early years being very child-centered, and the fact that children have complete autonomy and agency over their learning was a huge contributing factor to the strong sense of belonging that children feel to our setting. So children are choosing their own learning, they're choosing where to experience learning, what they want to experience and how they want to do that. Of course, there are some adult-directed learning opportunities too, such as reading, writing, phonics and mathematics, but the majority of the time that our children learn is completely child-led, and they get to spend their days exploring, designing, making everything that interests them. The fourth finding from our research was that most parents at Patana engage in strong homeschool partnerships, and that parents believe that regular meetings and conversations, even if they're ad hoc in the mornings and in the evenings, but conversations with practitioners were really valued in terms of making sure that children and families can feel that strong sense of belonging. One of the findings that we did learn from, which was really important, was that some of our children and families who come to our school without any English language or Thai language may actually need some additional support in order to feel that strong sense of belonging, purely because you need to be able to have a strong relationship and conversation with somebody in your first language. And we've done so much work in trying to make sure that that happens for our children who join us, who cannot have conversation yet in English or Thai. So then we looked at these findings and we wanted to make a plan for what does this mean for our practice? What does it mean for our teaching and learning within the early years setting? So as we've always done for many years, we're looking at maximizing opportunities for quality interaction. So we're wanting children to have quality conversations, having one-to-one time with adults or small group in the moment play. Again, it's less about planning activities for children and more about allowing children to express their interests and what they want to engage in the moment as and when they want to do that. And we also took on lots of feedback about making those homeschool partnerships as easy as possible. So in the past, we may have had several forms of communication, but we streamlined our communication into one super easy app so that parents can share their child's interests, what's happening in their child's lives, what the children are passionate about, what they're good at, and share that with us on our Seesaw app. And in turn, the teachers share video footage and photographs of what children have been doing at school. And this really supports our homeschool partnership, because the more that children feel that their life outside of the school walls is reflected within their setting, within their nursery or early years setting, the more that they feel valued, known, safe and secure. We introduced many ways that children can be encouraged to share their world outside of the school grounds with their peers and with other adults as well. So we've introduced many different ways. One of them you can see here, where children share their lives outside of school with each other, having conversations, having chats about things that they like, things that they do at home, and things that they have in common with other children and adults. And we've done lots and lots of work in promoting home language so that we can really support our children who join our school without English or Thai as their first language. So we have our secondary school children that come down and interact with children in their home language. We have parent volunteers that come in and do cooking and reading and all sorts of different things in children's home language. We have books, songs, resources, the learning environment that reflects home languages. So we're really working hard to ensure that no matter what a family's first language is, they can feel welcomed and safe and secure and a strong sense of belonging to our school. We have, as Sarah already mentioned, we have an open door policy. So parents are actively encouraged to come and spend time in the setting, playing alongside their children and other families, getting to know other families and interacting with the teachers and practitioners in the school as well. And finally, we have lots of other ways that we really support welcoming our families into the community. We love to have our doors open for sharing community events. We have, like I've already mentioned, many opportunities for parents to come into the school and really focusing on when families first join our school, what can we do to really make sure that everybody feels welcomed, safe and secure and part of our community. So that is, in a nutshell, what we found within our research. And of course, everything that we do, we research to make sure that we are at the forefront of the latest practice within early years and the primary secondary curriculums. So I just wanted to share that with you this morning, just to give you a flavour of how we use our professional development and knowledge to really support our families at school. And that's my presentation finished. So if anybody would like to ask any questions, I'm open to questions.
Absolutely. I'm just going to bring our, oh, you know, and I did, look at that. Now we're in the right place on the overlay. So yeah, if anybody does have a question, we have a few more minutes here with Sarah about, you know, creating belonging, about, you know, unlocking belonging in the early years. When do kids usually start early years? Like, I'll kick it off for you.
So as Sarah mentioned before, we do have a Tiny Tigers group where children come along to our setting from as young as 18 months old. So that is a play group setting. So adults come along with their children and enjoy our facilities and learning environment alongside some of our older children as well. And then officially children come and are enrolled onto the school when they are 2 years old in our nursery setting. So we have a smaller building, which is our nursery setting, which holds about 60 children between the ages of 2 to 3. And then they move across to our early years foundation stage building, which we have 200 children between the ages of 3 to 5.
You know, as again, I've said this 100 times, or I'm going to say it 100 times today and tomorrow. You know, I have 3 kids. Mine are past the stage, you know, we're in the primary, secondary, and, you know, actually middle and primary now, where we live. But the playgroup setting, I think maybe some parents believe that this is a test. This is, you know, this is an environment where the school is kind of, hey, are you going to fit in, or are you going to be one of us? That, can you dispel that myth or assuage that myth for me?
Of course, absolutely. Everybody's welcome into our Tiny Tigers group, and it's certainly not an assessment procedure. It is really just an opportunity for children to begin to develop those social skills and to become familiar with the school, because transition is a huge part of children feeling safe and secure at school. So if they've been at our school 2 or 3 days a week in our Tiny Tigers program for months before they actually become enrolled in the school, then that makes the transition between Tiny Tigers and starting school really, really smooth. Children are familiar with our environment. They've already seen our equipment, our gardens, our classrooms. So they're very familiar, and they are already part of the community. And that's the purpose of the Tiny Tigers playgroup, is to really support children in feeling safe and secure and knowing the setting before they actually have to separate with their parents a bit later on when they get a bit older.
Sure. Yeah. Cheryl Rigo's asking the question that you talked about children choosing their own learning. So how do those children know what to choose in order to cover all aspects of learning? I mean, I know I probably wouldn't have chosen math. I probably would have done a lot of art and stuff.
Yeah.
So how does that get done?
So the practitioners at Patana in the early years department are very, very skilled and very highly trained in weaving mathematical opportunities into play. So, for example, if children are designing a car park and a garage, then we'll have numbers on all the car parking spaces, and we'll be measuring how long the cars are and how they need to fit in. So we're really, really skilled at making sure that we know what children can already do. We know where they are with their mathematics, for example, if that's what we're thinking about. So we know what their next steps are. We do what we call focused children planning. So every child has a set of next steps that we know what they're working towards within their play. So again, it's about quality interaction and knowing how to get that mathematical development into that play. For example, if they're interested in making pizzas or making pancakes, then we measure the recipe, we count out, we measure what we need in there, we count how many spoonfuls, we measure and weigh, and so we're introducing mathematical learning in everything that we do. We don't actually teach it as an adult-led session of mathematics, but mathematics is everywhere within our learning environment.
I didn't mean to call out mathematics specifically.
No, but it's a good example. It's a good example. It's the same with reading and writing. When children are really deeply involved in their play, if they really want something, then we say, okay, let's write a list. What do you need? So children are engaging in literacy as part of their play in order to get what the things that they need. So if they want to make pancakes, we have to write the recipe. We have to go and find the things. So again, we're always weaving the academic learning into the play that the children are choosing and the children are interested in. That's how we do it.
Fantastic. Again, Sarah, it's amazing how quickly 10 minutes goes. Poof, just like
Yes.
that. Thank you so much for that presentation. Really, really appreciate you taking time out of your day to participate with us today. And I'm sure if anybody does have any other further questions for you about unlocking belonging in the early years, they will write to you directly at Patana. Thank you so much.
Okay, have a good day.